And thank you very much for joining us on PM Express. My guest tonight is a man who held several portfolios broadly when it comes to the energy sector. He was once power but also petroleum minister. He is currently on the trade committee in Parliament, but he is first the member of Parliament for Elembele, a constituency that has some very rich political history in terms of those who held that position before. I'm excited that he could join us for a conversation with 5 months to go before another major election when he's facing another test to hold on to his seat. Emmanuel Ama Kofi-Boah is my guest tonight. Thank you very much, Honorable.
It's good to be here.
Good to have you join us.
Good evening to Joy FM, Joy News listeners.
Yes. I mean, we have 5 months to go before another election.
That's correct.
Yes. I wonder how you're faring in the midst of the COVID-19.
Well, I think that we thank God. We thank God that we are still here and we've gone through all the challenges. So let me take the opportunity. You talk about COVID, and the first thing that comes to mind is to thank people who have been in the front line, health workers and doctors, and I mean, generally, they've been amazing in protecting all of us, and we are grateful.
Campaigning-wise, for a politician,
it's tricky.
It has been a bit weird, has it not been?
It's very tricky. I think that what is important right now is not campaigning per se. It's basically making sure you open up your heart to the people you represent and make them understand that in these times that you care. And I think that's important.
Have you done that in your constituency?
I think I've tried to do that. I've tried to be with them throughout the process, whether supporting our chip centers and health facilities with PPEs, or even supporting the vulnerable and the poor with some of the needs. You'll be excited to know I brought an initiative recently, a food bank that is being supported by a lot of organizations to feed the very vulnerable, the poor, the handicapped, people that we've forgotten about in this crisis. And it is amazing how when you visit some of these folks who cannot move or walk, their breadwinners are already jobless. And so you can imagine, the only time they eat is when people who really work can get something and give them something after they are okay. And so if they are not okay, you can imagine what is going on. And those are the people we've been trying to reach. And I think that has been very rewarding.
This must be a new terrain for you. You are a veteran politician, but campaigning with all these restrictions in place, doing a different kind of campaigning, which is more humanitarian. If there's anything like humanitarian campaigning, that probably would be it. Must be something that everybody is coming to terms with, including yourself. How to do this right and also keep people healthy.
If you understand that campaign is not an event, I say that you have to be very close to the people and level with them and make sure that you are with them. I don't have to worry about basically the usual campaigning, because what I'm very focused on right now is the very basic things that matters right now to the people. What is relevant to them right now. And that's what the campaign will be about. We should be going to them and talking about this crisis and what it has done to businesses. I've begun organizing women groups, small businesses, and try to find out the challenges and what we can do to support them. That's what this campaign is about. It's about really opening your heart to the people who are really hurting right now and try to say, I understand your pain. I mean, I can't do everything, but this is what I can do to support.
Yourself, as far as COVID-19, Parliament was instructed to have everybody tested. Did you submit yourself?
Thank God I did my test and it was negative. Yes.
Were you apprehensive?
Obviously very apprehensive. Can you imagine? I've said it that I think that people did not even think about it. But it is very, very difficult for a member of Parliament who has to basically always be with people to go through that. In this our country where we also know the issues of stigmatization. And so it's something that I'm sure every member of parliament is concerned about.
Thankfully, you're negative. The House, though, there are reports of some of your colleagues who were not that fortunate. The questions have been raised about with your numbers in the House. It just, if you look at the space you work in, some say maybe Parliament should take a different approach to doing business.
I agree with them. I agree with them. The point is that we don't, the dangers and the risk and the reason why we are shutting down organizations when there's the virus there. It's the same thing here. And so I think that I understand when people say that. But again, we have a responsibility to make sure that when we are called on to come and work, we work. If you ask me honestly, I probably think this parliament probably should have been shut down. But we just have to be very safe and try to do our best.
You must feel a sense of anxiety sometimes, I guess, when you come to work.
Every day. Yeah. Every day. And that is what really makes you, it's very humbling. And then because you now understand what health workers are going through. I think one of the things that keep me going is that, the risk I face here is lower compared to the doctors and nurses that are really in the front line dealing with real people who have been infected every day. And so if you think about it that way, you thank God and then you...
How do you protect yourself when you're in your community in Elembele and going from door to door and meeting people?
This virus, I have said it and I'll say it again. And that's why this issue of stigmatization is something we should fight. You don't have to do anything wrong to get the virus. In fact, you can be as very careful as you want, but you can get a virus. It's only by God's protection. And so that is why the question you brought up, we must all make sure we educate all of our people about the need to understand people who unfortunately had this virus and be very accommodating. The issue of stigma is something we should avoid because anybody at all, anybody. We saw the prime ministers and very powerful people around the world. It doesn't matter. And so, and the fact that you are negative today doesn't mean you are not going to be positive tomorrow, Absolutely. You can be positive tomorrow. That is the reality.
Let's talk about something that came up this week. You were formerly the Petroleum Minister.
Yes.
And on this same show, we spoke to a good friend of yours, Mohammed Amin Adam, who said a few things, but let's break it down. He says that you showed lack of planning, the Mahama administration, of which you were led when it comes to petroleum, because you put a thermal plant, the car power ship, etc. in Accra. A lot of the plants were in Accra, and yet you had no plan to link the gas that was flowing in abundance in the west to the coast of Greater Accra, and that led to chaos at a time when the country needed the gas dearly because Nigeria wasn't giving us as much.
I don't blame him because he has a luxury of walking into that office with 3 major oil producing fields. He has the luxury of saying anything he said because he was not part of the team led by President John Mahama, who never slept and brought Ghana into the gas era. Remember, countries have gone through so much in flaring gas. But let me paint a picture to you. And I take you back. And I was very privileged to be a Deputy Minister of Energy under President Mills, who walked in ground zero. Nothing in place. We know we had discovered oil. No policy, no plan, no program in place. Yet we have declared that we are going to do production. Fast track. So we walk in and the first thing is that how do we make sure that when we produce this oil, we are not going to be like other countries. What is the framework that will protect the revenue for the people of Ghana? This was done. It took work for the Petroleum Revenue Management Act that really today is helping us. When you hear on a yearly basis, the group that normally will have to prove, what do you call them?
The EITI?
Not the EITI, not the you know, we say Public Interest and Accountability Committee was part of the. Why did we do that? We said, apart from all the auditing, we want the people of Ghana to also audit how the oil money is spent. And that process has saved us. We didn't stop there. We did something that all the oil companies were against. We said that yes, we just started oil production, but we want Ghanaians to be in the forefront of it. We passed the local content LI. And that local content LI, you know, the verdict is out. Ghanaian companies, I'm not talking about foreign, local companies, they've been able to get 10 billion and over worth of contracts just because the law says that you have no choice. You have to give these contracts and break it down and make sure that Ghanaians are part of it. This was not simple. It was a fight. But the verdict is that all the Ghanaians you see, businessmen in the oil industry doing well, the Halichem, the Sea World, and all these companies you see, is because a law protected them and built them up. We didn't stop there. We said, you know, we are not going to continue to import crude oil. We have all these challenges. We're going to stop flaring. And we brought Ghana into a gas era, and we did amazing things. And I won't even talk about, you know the story, you know how, I was part of the gas task force established by President Mills.
So why did you leave?
We go all the way. I'll talk about that. I'll talk about that. But this is the story. So after we have finished the Atumabo gas processing plant, that gas that is coming from Jubilee and 10, they are all good for the power plants that are in the Western Enclave. Okay? Now remember, ENA gas was a game changer. It has never happened in Africa. This is a discovery that is mainly gas, then associated with oil. How do you get a formula to develop this field? Because if it's oil, you can easily sell it. We have mandated that this gas must be sold to Ghana. And guess who they are selling it to? They are selling it to state institutions that are already weakened and broke, financially weak. Who in his right mind will come and spend over $6 billion and take such a risk? So we had to really find a formula. Luckily for us, the project also has some small component, about 45,000 barrels of oil addition. It helped, it was not enough. So that's why you see us bringing in the IFC and the World Bank to guarantee this process. I mean, we did a formula that was never done in Africa, and we were able to deliver this project. But guess what? As the project was coming on, there are a few things that were hanging. We already knew that this gas, whatever it takes, is good. You understand? It is going to save us. If we are buying crude oil, 300 million, we are going to buy the gas at half the price. Whatever it is going to translate into savings for our country. But we also know that most of the power plants that are coming on stream were in Tema. But so we did certain arrangements. One, we said we are going to bring this power batch. Remember that we had already brought 225. That 225, we couldn't bring it to Takoradi at the time. Remember, we are in crisis. There is no evacuation in Takoradi at the time. But we needed the power to be in the system to address these challenges of power. And so we put that in Takoradi. That can be easily evacuated. I'm talking about emergency. And then we say that this is 2016. We have 2 years. That's my handover note. You will see it's in bold. The critical piece component is to make sure that one, we bring the gas, the power batch close to the west. Before 2018, are you listening to me? This is 2016 we are talking. 2 solid years. So we do elections and we leave power. This government comes. The guidelines for following these processes are very clear.
To do the reverse flow.
To do the reverse flow quickly. Are you listening to me? Quickly.
Because when did you start this process? Which year?
This year was started in 2015. And we have already gotten cabinet approvals. We've finished the process. Are you listening to me? Now listen to this trick. You know, these guys, when we started the process, you remember they had a press conference, they were talking about the gas price was expensive. And we said, listen, the gas price is going to be determined at the end of the project. Because we don't know the cost of this. This ENI has brought all these costs. These are all not fixed until we finish. But we've put a formula in the agreement where it says that every $100 million we save in all this projection you've made will reduce the price that we have agreed, 9.8, by 55 cents. Thankfully, by the time the gas process finished, we were able to save 691. Are you listening to me? So we have indicated again.
But did you secure funding for the gas reverse?
The funding was in place. And
from where? He says that is not your doing.
So that is this man. We even came to, I am the one who came to Parliament. Came to Parliament with the West Africa gas proposal with a financing of 3 million immediately to start the process. But listen to what happened and you will be shocked. So this government comes to power. They don't follow the urgency. 2017, the whole year is gone. Are you listening? And then at the end of 2016, they decide that they are going to bring not the 225 power batch. They are going to bring the 450. That 450 was already programmed that if we are not able to fast track some of the plans we are doing, remember we have Amandi, we have Sem Power. These new power plants will take all the ENI gas. All the other things have been committed to the Atuabo gas. But I'm talking about the ENI gas. GMPC is the one leading the effort. We've programmed all these power plants that are going to take the gas with the Tamawan. The 450 megawatts was supposed to come to Takoradi in the first year, 2017. So that 2018 June is when ENI is bringing the gas. 18. This government sits there and not even start the project.
But they've completed it now.
But are you listening to me? Yes, but at the price, we paid the price.
What
because
price
by June, August, when ENI gas was ready, are you listening? See, this is the problem that this government and these guys always. So by June 2008, we even did a press conference. We were warning them. This pipeline reverse flow must be completed before the ENI gas come. Because that one, look, the 450 megawatt car power, but that's what's sitting in Pantema. We had already finished. If you brought it to Takoradi, that alone was taking 90 million standard cubic feet of gas. 90 million. So by June, car power alone, if it's in Takoradi, it will take it. Do you think it's the NDC who brought the 450 power badge? Do you know who brought it?
Tell me.
It's the MPP. How dumb can you be? If you know that we've already told you that that power plant that you are bringing to replace the 225 in Tema, it wasn't the NDC that brought the 450. Remember that. You bring that and you go and put that in Tema. And you know what is worse?
Because they know they were finishing the reverse flow.
No, you are not listening. When they brought it to Tema, you know what they were interested in? Today I'll tell you. They were interested in the supply of heavy fuel oil. Because a crony had the contract. Are you listening? They took it from GMPC, who was the supplier, and gave it to a crony to supply heavy fuel oil. Okay? And because of that, that national need to make sure that plant will go to Takoradi to take our gas was not a priority.
But Mr. Boa, if they were completing the reverse flow, which was going to bring the gas down anyway, why would they put it in the western region? They put it here because you're going to complete the reverse flow, which, by the way, they've completed it.
You're not understanding me. They completed it. Do you know what happened? So in June, ENI gas, in 2018, ENI gas is ready. And there was no plant to take the gas. Okay? And these people who have gone to bed for 2 years wake up, oh, don't blame us. Blame the NDC.
Do you give them credit at all for finishing
Nothing.
something you say you started?
They are terrible. Why do I say that? This is a government that has come to power. Give me one thing. Listen, the only reason why they had $12 billion for the 3 years is because the 3 major oil producing fields that we have. It's because of the gas we had. It's because of everything we've done. There's not one thing.
I'm going to ask the question again. You say you started the project that they completed, the reverse. So you don't give them credit at all.
But I'm telling you the price we paid. Now
you told
they ask ENI. Now they ask
But the thing is complete now.
Why do you continue to import heavy fuel oil, and then when you have gas, you know what happened? Now we have to find money to pay for our gas because contractually we needed to take the gas.
I want to take a quick break. When I return, we'll talk about another allegation that was leveled against your good self and your former government, which is about the contracts, the petroleum agreement that was signed that were never executed, that it took this government to force companies to drill and find the oil.
Another one that...
My guest is still Emmanuel Amakofibwa, who was the former petroleum minister. Mr. Boy, so you were in power when a lot of these petroleum agreements were signed.
That's correct.
Proud of it. The current government says that you signed more than 12 contracts, and by the time they were leaving, just a fraction of that actually had the company had met the terms of the contract to actually start the work that they signed the contract for, and that was a mark of failure.
By the time I finish explaining this to you, you would think my good friend here may have to go back to school. I mean, yes, we do politics, but when you get to that level as a minister, you don't talk like that. And you understand why. First of all, the reason why we got 12 petroleum agreements signed, and that's what I have in my handover notes, was because there was confidence in this economy. Investors were ready and willing to come to Ghana and invest. The oil sector was booming. We had 3 major producing fields. We had monetized our gas. So much was going on. That is the first sign when you see that kind of investment. And at the same period, Cote d'Ivoire had signed 21 petroleum agreements. So it's easy to sign petroleum agreements. That can be an achievement. Let me explain to you. So he goes, oh, you signed 12 petroleum agreements and there were no drilling. In any event, let me explain some history to you. Were there drilling though? A lot of drilling. In fact, we had so much. Out of the 12, how many? Let me explain something to you. In 2006, Vitol signed a petroleum agreement. Okay? Vitol. That Vitol agreement, that whole period, nothing happened. It was under 2006 was President Kufuor, is that correct? Okay. So there was no drilling until President Mills came in 2009 and brought a major ENI. ENI now started drilling and made a discovery in 2012. Okay, so I should sit here and say that by all means I should blame President Kufuor because during that period there was no drilling. Second, do you know Cosmos agreement was signed in 2004? Is that correct? There was election within that period. Okay, and there was discovery in 2007. So let's say that President Kufuor lost the election, who have been talking about. You know, when you sign a petroleum agreement, they have work obligations, and there's a time period. And what you have to do is to make sure that you are following the company's work obligation and they are meeting them.
Since you failed to do that, and that they came to force and follow and push.
He doesn't. What he's saying is neither here nor there.
But you haven't answered a direct question about how many of the 12 actually got to drill.
We drilled more than. I think I gave you the number the other day.
Yeah, but I'll be happy if my listeners get the number now. 12 out of which
no, you are missing.
But that's
the point.
Important. Because that's a fundamental accusation
you are not
against
listening to me because you don't want to listen to the truth.
No, I'm listening to you.
So we have 12 petroleum agreements.
It's a matter of facts.
No, I'm saying to you that within that period,
the facts,
within that period he's talking about, we had over 20 drilling activities. In fact, we had 21 new discoveries within that period he's talking about. But I'm just telling you, I don't want to educate school. They are young students. I want to educate them well.
Yeah, but I would love for the facts
It's a very stupid proposition. That's why I'm trying to get you to understand.
Which one is?
This is the point. The point is that if you sign a petroleum agreement, okay, there are work obligations. I'm just telling you that we signed all these agreements between 2014 and the 2016, mainly. This period I'm talking to you about, there were a lot of other drillings taking place on petroleum agreements that had even been signed before that. Within this very period, you know what is happening?
Tell me.
What is happening is that the oil prices have tumbled. Are you listening? Côte d'Ivoire had laid claim to our basins. And almost 7 of these petroleum agreements had been told by a court, no drilling.
But that's 7.
No, listen. You are not listening.
That's 7.
I've not finished.
I've not finished. 5.
We have taken Côte d'Ivoire to court. And these companies have invested money in our basins. And do you know what we did? We had to go to them and make a case how strong our case with Côte d'Ivoire was, so they don't take us to court. You have guaranteed these companies to invest money in your basin, and all of a sudden, the basins are not for you. Some other country is laying claim. We are in court. Are you listening? In the meantime, all the other agreements we are let me tell you something. You see the petroleum agreements you are talking about. Today, as I'm talking to you, Springfield, that we signed, do you understand? Hasn't it discovered oil?
It has.
Okay, who signed that petroleum agreement?
2016, so that must have been
So you see how dumb the question is?
Yeah, but let's stay with Springfield. Let's stay with Springfield.
So I'm saying that within our period, I'm saying that.
So you signed the contract. Just a second.
We signed another year and a
Let's stay with Springfield.
Do you know when this was done?
Let's stay with Springfield. You signed the contract, that's true. But if you don't, you said it, if you don't follow and push, that contract might stay on the paper.
Ghana. We saved Ghana.
But it took this government, they claim.
You are not listening to me. This government has not done anything.
And the fine.
This government has not done. In fact, what this government has done is that this government, let me tell you, when Atamels came in, that petroleum agreement with ENI was signed by Vitor. The stake of the state was 15%. We renegotiated it and raised it to 20%. You know what this government does? Their interest is to come in and take what belongs to Ghana and give it to cronies. That is why when they came, their record in the oil industry is that the state's 48% was taken away and reduced to 18%. Are you listening to me? You think it's achievement?
You know the sector.
No,
you know how.
Don't give them excuse. You said you won't listen
it has
to me.
Affected,
you said that Côte d'Ivoire dispute doesn't matter. Now you are coming to give me an excuse that there's COVID. We had a dispute with Côte d'Ivoire.
But
our basins had been stopped.
No, but it didn't affect all our basins, did it?
You are not listening. Who in his right mind?
You said it affected 7 of the blocks.
You are not listening to me.
Not all of them. Those outside the contested area were so operating.
It affected everywhere. Do
Really?
you know why? Do you know why? This is an investment. I'm saying that this period, oil prices are tumbled. And we are in litigation in court in our basins. What do you call it? What do you call it? Cosmos and what is the operator? Tallow.
Tallow
was in that operation. Tallow was the same company on this side. Are you telling me that they won't put everything on hold and make sure that they finish before they start investing money? It's the same companies. It's the same upstream sector. You have to be very realistic.
Yeah,
tell me one development that Nanado has done. Tell me. Give me one. Give me one.
They have, the minister says at one point they have 4 drilling ships working.
So
AGM drill.
That
AGM drill the deepest well.
It translates into what?
But you said drilling. I mentioned one too.
No.
AGM
It translates into what?
Well in Africa.
Are they producing oil? This government has any
But you talk about
FPSO?
drilling, so I've just mentioned one to you.
The 4 years of Nanado will not see any development. Do you agree with me?
You are predicting something.
You think I should sit here and say it's Nanado?
It's not in my power to
I should sit here and say it's Nanado's fault. That's why COVID came. You understand? So his argument is dumb.
The deputy minister you're referring.
President Mahama made a lifetime decision. You know, his friend was the president of Ivory Coast. I say this. When you are close to the decision, and this man had to take a decision by protecting the territorial integrity of the republic, by taking, his friend is also called Dramani, to court. That is what was important. Do you know the ultimate result? We added more territory to Ghana's territory because of after the Atlas, and the resources we protected was over $10 billion. You don't think that has to be talked about? We are now here talking about government that has come in here, come to reduce the stake of the republic from 48 to 18%. Come to amend ACA agreement to reduce the powers of the regulator to protect the state. Has come here. We have gone to the United States on a millennium to get money for the state as a result of this government's own misdoings and corruption. We have lost 190 million of that fund. Agreed? This is a government that fired one afternoon an energy minister.
But that happened under John Mahama too.
Who was that?
Fired
energy minister.
There was the name. Dr. Komnan Nonko said he resigned. He resigned. He left.
That's an honorable man, please. Yeah, he did his work honorably. I'm talking about a president saying he was misled. Ghana was almost duped by $1 billion. We will not forget it, okay? I'm just telling you that this government led by President Nanado has no credibility, period, to talk about the upstream sector. There's not one thing they've done in the upstream sector. Not one. All the production you see, all the gas you see. Do you know why we don't have LPG lines? We have seen LPG lines in this world of COVID today. We don't have them because our intervention has reduced the importation of LPG by half through our trouble. Today, as I speak to you, we have brought Ghana into a gas era, and you know, we are saving over $300 million of crude oil that otherwise would have been imported. Do you know, you never said anything about the point I made. It is very sad.
Which point is this?
It hurts, you know, it hurts when constantly you get a government. It's a do little or do nothing government. Everybody knows it. There isn't one achievement, and we are talking about the oil sector. I'm just telling you today, FPSO Kwame Nkrumah, FPSO Mills, FPSO Kufuor, these were named by NDC, and we traveled the length and breadth, and in the process, make sure we added Ghanaians and empowered them. And today, the Petroleum Commission says that Ghanaians, because of the policies we put in place, are empowered. Guess what? They say that this government, since it came, all they have done is to make sure they take away. Let me take you somewhere.
You're talking about local content?
Yes, amazing.
But we've done 10 years of oil production. Give me your assessment of how we fared with local content.
We still have a lot of work to do there. But I think that what we've done is that we've given a foundation to the Ghanaian. The challenge we have is that the enforcement by the Petroleum Commission must be strengthened. That's why it hurts when a Minister of Energy comes to Parliament and says that we should take away the power of the Petroleum Commission to regulate a foreign oil entity.
That sector, in terms of, if you look at generally with the local, when you said you passed a local content law, you think Ghanaians are empowered enough today? If you look at the foundations that you laid with the law, are we in a position to say that we've empowered and given capacity to our people ready to sort of one day control this industry?
I think that,
and if not,
it is sad to say this, but I think that this government has rolled back our progress for 10 years. The 10 years progress we made. And why do I say that? They've weakened the local content regime. They've weakened the regulatory institutions. In fact, the National Oil Company, today go and look at their focus.
You mean GMPC?
Yes. Our focus is to make sure that the National Oil Company, GMPC, is driving to a place where they will discover oil and operate it for Ghana. Are you listening? But when we are not investing in that direction, you know why GMPC established Esploco? Esploco was established because it was obviously realized that, listen, this industry is a private sector led industry. The only way you can compete is to make sure that you are operating like a private sector. But all these reporting requirements and the bureaucracy in government does not allow GMPC to compete well. So let's create an arm of GMPC that is so private sector driven. That's Esploco. That will basically help GMPC get to that destination and compete. When a government comes and said, we don't understand, we don't need Esploco, we throw it away. It will take the 18% that we give, 24% that we gave Esploco, we take it away. And guess who we give? We give it to the foreigner. We are not making progress.
I want to take a break, and when I return, I want us to talk about politics a bit. There's a campaigning. We've talked about a bit of that, but I want to focus on 2020.
Yes.
There's a NDC campaign. You have to try and win, come back from opposition into government.
We pray so.
So we're going to talk about that and your role in that, because you're a very important figure in the NDC. Stay with me. Thank you very much for staying with us on PM Express. We've talked a lot about the oil petroleum sector, but what you may not know is that he's also now on the trade committee in Parliament, and you've been doing some work there. You've gone to the ports. We've had a lot of reports, controversy at the ports and complaints.
We've talked about.
What did you find when you went there?
We've talked about this issue, and it's one of the issues. And yesterday I said the parallel between this issue of GCNet and the Electoral Commission is interesting. I mean, when something is not broke, it's not broken, how do you fix it? This government has given us a report that says that since GCNet started operations, their government revenue has increased by 76%. 7.6. In fact, government owns 35% shares. In fact, if you go to the GCNet board, the Bank of Ghana is there, the police, the custom commissioner is there. I mean, all government officials dominate the board. It's a local company. Then suddenly the government says that we are going to bring some foreigner to come and take over the operations of something that otherwise was helping us. And we said, are you sure that this is not going to bring hardship to traders and importers? Are you sure this won't have an impact on government revenue in a time of COVID where we are struggling? Can you just look at it? Because GCNet's contract does not expire to 2023. Why the rush? We ask all these questions. Why did you rush to go and do sole sourcing? A government that was really loud about coming to make sure that competitive bidding and establish a whole ministry of procurement. That's their record. Why? They didn't listen as usual. And so, what is the result? They have done the transition. Government's own revenue is suffering. But you know what the intransigence of this government is? They experimented it in Takoradi. And they had problems. And so it gave them an opportunity to say that if we are going to implement this even in the bigger Tema market, let's think about it twice. Oh no. Somebody has to chop.
You don't have any evidence about
that. Well, you can take it back.
This is an assumption.
Well, it's an assumption. Because I don't understand. I can't understand it. Why? Now we've implemented this transition. GCNet has taken their machines. The new system is in place. And you know that for 2 weeks, importers are ready with their paperwork and cannot even pay their duties. And they are incurring demurrage. They are asking who is going to pay for it. Now, is this too hard for the government to say that, okay, we made a decision, we thought this was better, GCNet, come. GCNet is already heading to the court anyway to sue government. Ultimately, the taxpayer will pay for it. Bring these people, even if you want to do whatever, a transition or whatever, for the whole period, allow some, don't let Ghanaian businesses suffer like that. And I'm saying, why? It doesn't make any sense.
You've, in your role at the committee level, what's your plan? What do you plan to do about it? Because you've been to the place.
We've gone there, we've listened, and the intention was to follow up on what we said, whether or not the thing is going well. When we went there, we didn't even talk. It was the traders who did the talking, emotionally, in pain.
What do you want to do about it?
I think that the advice to government is simple. Please, do the right thing.
Are you bringing the trade minister to come and explain?
Yes, we are already summoned the trade minister urgently to come and explain to us why that process and what is going to be done to make sure that we address these issues quickly.
Is the NDC ready to come back into
the
government?
NDC is ready, willing to take over power. The NDC has the men, as you can see.
You are one of them.
Men of integrity. We are proud of the work we've done for Ghana. We continue to do for Ghana. And you know, we are ready to work for Ghana. Because this country...
But the people, you say that, but the people rejected you massively in 2016. If all that you're saying is true,
the people are always yearning...
do that to you?
The people are always yearning to see what different is there. They've tried it. I mean, slogans. 1 district, 1 factory. 1 district, 1 million. 1 district, 1 dam. 1 district. I go to Elembele and I'm asking myself, where's my factory? Where's my $1 million? Where? This government is a monumental failure.
In terms of?
In every aspect.
But they've done free SHS.
They've done free SHS.
The factories have started.
The verdict is out. You know, free SHS is guaranteed in the Constitution. It is
but they've
process.
Implemented it. So why didn't you do it?
They've implemented it, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. They opened the school. Where is the oil money that we normally are going to get to pay the school fees? We have challenges ahead, my brother. We have challenges ahead. Don't wave your handkerchief and jubilate. I'm just telling you that we need to do things and do things right. We are in a world of competition. Okay? So you can decide that you want to basically throw your education under the bus and just mass produce it and do anything and just feel good that your education is good. If you are not careful, you will collapse that whole system.
Let me ask you, is the NDC going to win?
We are going to make sure...
Because of your record or because of the failure of this government? Which one is it?
The NDC is going to win this election because we are going to go to the people of Ghana with the hope of a better tomorrow.
But they've seen you before.
It doesn't matter.
Just 4 years ago, you were
they saw us before. They brought the MPP and they brought us back and they brought them back again. And they realized the more we change them, the more they get worse.
Would that apply to the NDC too?
Well, I think that you should just start listening. Go to the ground. The people are hurting. They are suffering. And the NDC is the only alternative today that is coming in to basically, we have to go back to basics. You know what? I think that this whole campaign is going to be about the soul of our country. How do we make sure that the values and the things that made us Ghanaians are brought back again?
How much of a role is Amakofi-Boa going to play in the campaign?
Oh, I'm very, very happy that I'm playing a very good role in my western part of the republic.
But you are coming up against the formidable opposition in your constituency.
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah.
I am dealing with very powerful forces.
Tell me about
very powerful forces. I understand that. Yeah, I got myself in trouble, I'm sure.
So this is the first time that you're competing with an MPP person who is in power, right?
That is correct.
Who has the force of the state.
That is correct.
Behind them.
And I think that they are bringing all the force of the state to bear, I'm sure.
Yeah. Does that worry you?
With the MPP national chairman from Elembele as the former member of parliament. Yeah. I understand that.
Yeah. Does that worry you?
No, that's not what the people vote on. The election, you see, the politics is a local business. It's in the village and the pande and what Amakofi-Boa has impacted on them. That's what it's about. That's why it's good. You just level with the people and constantly stay in touch. In this crisis period, what is the Amakofi's record? The guy in opposition and those in power. That's what they vote on. And I'm very confident that...
Let me ask you...
but let me say something about what is going to happen. This election is going to be about two men. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, who has tried to tell Ghanaians to try him. And out of the Ghanaian humility and respect, they said, let's try this.
Not because you failed.
Oh, no. Yeah, it's part of it. I mean, we didn't fail. Everybody knows now. If you ask me honestly, maybe what we didn't do well was maybe we were not good communicators. But Ghanaians know what we did now. And they say, oh my God, if we knew that this is how terrible this government is going to be, we should have left President Mahama and his team in power. You understand? I think that we are better off bringing the NDC, led by President Mahama, to come in. And I think that we are ready and even going to do better. Better.
With John Mahama.
With John Mahama.
The same man they rejected less 4 years ago.
The renewed president who is...
Oh, so he's renewed now.
This is the man... No, I mean, I use the word... and don't understand me. This is the man who is coming with new energy, new ideas.
Really?
New vigor, commitment to basically lead the people of Ghana.
These qualities didn't he
and
possess them before?
You know what is he, and that's exactly what he did. Those qualities are what brought the energy sector, the good stories I've told you. Those stories are what brought all the hospitals and the roads you see. There's the John Mahama that you see. But he's coming in to basically finish the work and give Ghanaians hope.
Talking about John Mahama, he's currently still shopping for a running mate. Are you ready? No.
I think President Mahama will do it.
Are you ready to?
No, I'm happy to be MP for Elembele. Trust me.
Why? But that's politicians. Like one of the biggest traits of politicians' ambition.
I am the MP for Elembele.
You don't want to be
I love that job. I love that job. I love to be MP for Elembele.
You have no consideration.
I love to be MP for Elembele.
But you'd be a good running mate.
I love to be MP for Elembele. Let's stay right there.
I'm surprised. For a politician to turn down, you
have the capacity to offer me a job.
John Mahama has the capacity.
He has sent you to offer me a job.
I'm just asking.
So let's talk about Elembele. I'm happy to be MP for Elembele, and I think that I still have a lot of work to serve my people.
Apart from being member of parliament, no political ambition beyond that?
I'm very blessed. You know,
you only want to be member of parliament. And maybe a minister.
How many Ghanaians have a chance to serve as a deputy minister and a minister and a 3rd term as a member of parliament? How many Ghanaians? I'm blessed.
That's enough for you.
it is more than a blessing. And I wake up every day.
For the future, though?
I wake up every day thanking God and stretching my hands, saying, let me go do it again and again.
Okay. For the future, what's the plan for Amabofibwa?
God knows best.
I'm grateful, sir, for joining me. Enjoy the rest of it.